Mary, roll call.
Ms. Cantillo? Mr. Barton? Ms. Bacala?
Yes, here.
Ms. Walrath?
Here.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Here.
Ms. Hafner?
Here.
Mr. Lamella?
The New Jersey Open Publics Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Brick Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be posted on the Administration Office Bulletin Board, the official district website, and Channel BTV 20, and sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Brick Times, the Star Ledger, and Municipal Clerk's Office.
Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Whereas the Brick Township Board of Education has been formed pursuant to applicable New Jersey statutes, and whereas the board is charged with the responsibility of performing all acts and doing all things consistent with the law and the rules of the State Board of Education necessary for the lawful and proper conduct, equipment, and maintenance of the public schools and public school property of the Brick Township School District, and whereas Section 7 of the Open Publics Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting of the board in certain circumstances, and whereas the board has determined that circumstances exist for such an executive session, and whereas the board has found the action described below to be necessary and proper, now therefore be resolved by the board on December 14, 2017, that the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action on the executive session herein set forth. The session will be approximately 30 minutes, and the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is 16 harassment, intimidation, and bullying reports, and personnel settlement 6905. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public if and when it is deemed to be in the public interest to do so, and the need for confidentiality is no longer required by the board.
Ms.
Mary?
Bacala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to return back to session?
Motion.
Second? Can I get a second?
Second.
Mary?
Ms. Cantillo?
Here.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Bacala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Okay, could please all rise for the salute to the flag? Presentation of the colors.
Color guard, halt. Left, pace. Freeze it, arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Right, pace. Forward, march. Colors, halt. Order, arms.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to ask the representatives from Brick Memorial, Ms. Caroline Colbus and Aaron White, to come up and give their report.
Hi, my name is Caroline Colbus, and this is Erin White. We're the representatives from student government. Erin?
So this year, we've had a school-wide effort to provide Thanksgiving and Christmas meals in a box for families who might not have the means to provide the food for themselves. It was a really big turnout. Thanks. We had a really big turnout. There were a lot of things donated, and it was a huge success. We also just had a very successful Powder Puff game where the seniors and junior girls played against each other and our senior class won.
This is very exciting news for us. We are hosting our first, hopefully annual, winter dance. It's being held January 18th, 6 to 9. We hope for a huge turnout. We also have our Spirit Week coming up starting this Monday. Our whole week is holiday themed to get people into the festive mood. Some ideas were Ugly Sweater Day and Pajama Day, so hopefully that's a great turnout too. And lastly, on Friday, we're doing a holiday Bling It Out, so anyone can wear like fun earrings, like the holiday wear. So it should be really exciting. Our sports report for December. After a successful fall season, we would also like to acknowledge an impressive accomplishment by two of our girls volleyball players. Junior Alexis McKelvey and senior Daniel Dyson were named the Ocean Star Volleyball Athlete of the Year. In football, we concluded our season by winning the A-South Championship and had several members earn postseason accolades. We had 4 representatives named to the second team All-Star Shore teams. Seniors Tony Thorpe, Grant McKelvey, Blaine Netterman, and Willie Gardner. All 4 were also recognized for all division, along with senior Joe Castellano. Senior Tyler Gonzalez and junior Tyler Sindel were honorable mentions. Lastly, senior running back Tony Thorpe was also named Offensive Player of the Year in the division, and senior linebacker Grant McKelvey was named the Defensive Player of the Year. It was a successful football season for certain, as our head coach, Walt Curry, was likewise recognized as Coach of the Year in the A-South.
We have officially started our winter seasons with our championship bowling teams having started along with our ice hockey and swimming teams. Tomorrow we are hosting an opening night wrestling match against Central Regional at 6:30. Monday night is our home boys basketball opener against Central Regional, also at 6:30. And we have a big doubleheader at Brick on Thursday, December 21st, with the girls varsity basketball playing at 6 and the boys varsity playing at 7:30. Both our girls and boys teams will be participating in the prestigious WOBM Christmas Classic over the holiday break.
Lastly, we would like to invite all the board members and central administration to our winter pep rally tomorrow, Friday, December 15th at 12:45. We are looking to celebrate some fall successes and introduce our winter teams to the student body. And we might even have a few surprises for everyone in attendance. That is all, and I wish you a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you. From Brick Township High School, Christian Brando.
Hi, my name is Christian Brando, and I'm the Vice President of Affairs for the Brick Township NHS. So the fall sports came to an end, and unfortunately our football team, they did make it to semifinals, but were cut short by Freehill Borough. But we had several players named to all shore teams, and also our winter sports are starting. Bowling started strong by placing first overall in the Dragon tournament, and the boys placed first and the girls were the runner-ups. And our both basketball teams have their first games tomorrow, so we're extremely excited for those seasons to get started. The teams are looking amazing, and we can't wait for what happens. So if you walk around the school, you'll see that many doors are being decorated. It's a contest that all the classrooms take it part of, and it's really just a great time for kids to get together and do holiday door decorations. And with that, we have our SGA holiday card contest where any club around the school can make a card, and the winner will get a bagel breakfast, so everyone's really enjoying that, and we got some creative ideas going around. And also our guidance and SGA are collecting gift cards to donate to families in need in our school, so we're trying to get 5 from each class, and we're really excited how that's going. We're also having a mini Spirit Week next week for the holidays, and we have days like PJ Day and Ugly Sweater Day. And we also are, the NHS was recently inducted last week, and it was a great ceremony, and all the new members were excited. We inducted 28 members, so we were extremely happy about that. And our acting class has recently traveled to all the elementary schools on our side to perform a Christmas carol, and it's a great tradition every year that the kids love and the teachers all love. And also, with the fine arts, we'll be doing a presentation with dance, singing, acting on the 20th of December, so we're extremely excited for that. And we're also preparing for park testing, which will be in January right when we get back, so classes are starting to gear towards that. And then one thing we're happy to announce is that we'll be bringing back the Mr. BTHS in February, so all the seniors are extremely happy about that and are excited to see what comes. So I wish everyone a happy holidays, and thank you.
Thank you, Christian. I would now like to introduce Ms. McNamara, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, to give out some awards to outstanding teachers from our district.
Thank you, Mr. Philippon. Mrs. Bacala is going to join me. Each year, the Department of Education asks schools throughout the state of New Jersey to nominate staff that they feel are either exemplary educators in the elementary division or in the secondary division. This current session for exemplary educator was for the secondary division, and we have 2 that were selected from the Brick Township schools. We're extremely proud this evening to award Mr. Stephen Morelli the 2017 Exemplary Secondary Educator Award from the Department of Education. Mr. Morelli has been a teacher at Lake Riviera Middle School in Social Studies and English Language Arts. He then moved to a Social Studies position at Brick Township High School and now is currently an assistant principal at Lake Riviera Middle School. So we are very proud, and we'd like to have Mr. Morelli come up and award him his certificate. Mr. Morelli? The second award goes to a gentleman who you've probably seen here at the podium several times. This secondary educator has been the recipient of no fewer than 4 grants, the last of which was a $26,000 grant for STEM education at the middle level. We are very proud and honored to have the second 2017 Exemplary Secondary Educator Award be given to Mr. Gary Paxton. Mr. Paxton? In honor of receiving the 2017 Milken Family Foundation Award, this evening we recognize Brick Memorial High School Advanced Placement and Honors Chemistry teacher, Mrs. Maria DeBruin. The Milken Family Foundation is a Santa Monica, California-based foundation that scours the nation to honor teachers and administrators who are furthering excellence in education. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Walter Hersanko to the mic to share with you how Mrs. DeBruin is furthering excellence in education in the Brick Township Public Schools. Mr. Hersanko?
Thank you, Ms. McNamara. Ms. DeBruin possesses exceptional talent. Her instructional practices and student learning results are extraordinary. 87% of her students have passed the AP Chemistry test, which, as being a former AP Chemistry teacher, I know is probably the hardest test that the students have to take. 2/3 of that test have to be taken without a calculator, and that's, for our students today, that's pretty amazing that they're able to do that, because we get so accustomed to being able to use it. Additionally, Mrs. DeBruin has grown the program substantially. When she took over the program, we had one section which ran maybe every other year. This year, fortunately, she has 3 sections of 15 to 16 students each. So that's her full-time teaching schedule. She has accommodated students, doing all different types of things, and probably the most amazing event that she started several years ago was Science Night Out, which is a program for after the students take the AP exam in May. We look for what you can do, what they can do creatively between May and the end of the school year. Well, Ms. DeBruin started this program where the students do these amazing, and I mean amazing, chemistry experiments in front of an auditorium packed with elementary school students and their parents. Even last year, she got Mayor Ducey up on the stage to do one of the activities. It was really amazing. And then after about 45 minutes or so, then all the students go into the green cafeteria, and they actually have hands-on activities, so every student gets a little bag of goodies to be able to bring with them to be able to do different types of experiments. So it's really a very, very creative way for the students to spend their time, and also benefits the community tremendously. In addition, this year, and she actually started it last year, she videotapes her lessons and puts them out so that students, and it's not only her current students, but it's students that are in college now, can actually refer back to them. She has her own YouTube channel, Debrew Guru, that students can go to and actually see and relearn what they might have missed in class, or if they had a question on some of the homework assignments, etc. Very, very creative in terms of that. She's also volunteered times when she was teaching honors chemistry beforehand. She did programs with students after school. She also not only taught the advanced students, but she also taught Chem A at one point in time. So she's really very valuable. And I'm completely off Miss McNamara's script here, by the way. So that's okay. Okay. The one thing I want to say is I was fortunate enough to have Maria as a student. I taught her AP Chemistry years ago, and it's very heartwarming to have one of your students follow in your profession. Secondly, Maria was a very successful chemist at Merck, and she reminded me of this story, which I forgot. I met her in Costco, of all places, and she said she was thinking about going into teaching. So I was very interested, and she had gotten her certificate of eligibility. And within a couple weeks, one of our chemistry teachers resigned. And I didn't know how to get a hold of Maria, so I wrote a note to her parents. And they got back to me, and that's how it kind of all started. So we're very, very proud of her. She's done tremendous things. She's a tremendous member of our science department. She contributes a lot to the school community at Brick Memorial. You see her at many activities with her children and her husband. So we'd like to congratulate her on this tremendous, it is a tremendous, there are only 45 Millikan educators throughout the country every year, and she is the one that represents New Jersey this year. So congratulations, Maria.
Not necessarily prepared, but it's sort of interesting. Yesterday, I was able to attend a retirement party for one of the women that I worked with at Merck in my lab, I guess the first year I had started there. I was only there a short time before I was able to come over here, and she said to me yesterday, she used to call me the little general. I guess that's sort of who I am. And I get these ideas, and of course I bounce them around all the time, but she said to me, and it was sort of interesting, I'm so glad, she said, that you found a place that supports your ideas, because Merck wasn't ready for you. And I had ideas there as well, but it was just, I was young, and it just wasn't supported quite yet. And they all know about the award, and I have gotten so many congratulations from them, and it was just so nice for her to say, like, I'm so happy you found a place. And I truly did. Like, I feel so supported here, and all of these things, right? I would have never been able to do Science Night Out if I wasn't supported by you guys. And I would never be able to do posting my YouTube lectures. And Dr. Caldez, last year I said to you, I said, I need some sort of camera or something to record my lectures. And immediately he says, done. The next day, there it was, and I started my YouTube channel. So without this district, none of this would have been possible for me. So thank you so much.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Mary?
Ms. Cantillo?
I have to abstain.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Spicala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Abstain?
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hafner?
I have to abstain from the executive session, but yes to the regular.
Okay. Committee reports, we'll start with Finance, Mr. Edwards.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Walrab. The Finance Committee met on December 6th. Ms. Walrab, Ms. Bacala, Mr. Filippone, and myself. We first had a presentation by Ms. Perry from Jump Perry and Company on the school district audit. Ms. Perry indicated that the audit was filed with proper authorities timely and that there were no audit findings and that the prior year audit finding in the BEST program had been corrected. Next, we talked about the Lake Riviera Middle School skate rink that we're still working on determining how we are going to either make repairs or take down the skate rink, as it's a matter of concern for our insurance carrier. We talked about a shared service agreement that we're still working on with some local organizations, and the tax levy schedule for revision, which is on tonight at the request of the township. Petty cash increase refund by, petty cash increase, not refund, just an overall increase, I don't know why I said refund, for Brick Memorial High School by Dr. Caldez, which is on the agenda for tonight. School photographer RFP, which is on the agenda for tonight. We discussed the 2018-19 school budget calendar, talked about the 2018 board meeting calendar, and then also talked about the field trip budget and field trip expenditures for the current year and previous years. That was everything.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Let's do facilities. Mr. Barton?
Thank you, Mrs. Walrath. Facilities Committee met on December 6th, and we discussed the Vets parking lot, Brick High School parking lot, and the track projects that have been ongoing. Warren Wolf Elementary School's roof work is down to a punch list. Painting at the board office is completed, and they went with earth tones. I liked it. I thought it was pretty nice. We're waiting on the energy audit to come back again, a finalized version of the energy audit. Solar panels are not on yet since the fire at Emma Havens Young Elementary School. The glycol monitoring pipes at the Brick High School boiler are up and running, and that's going to be monitored pretty closely, and we're going to have training done for the people in charge of that system. We found a possibility of saving money with doors, the door projects that have been talked about for the capital budget improvements. We're trying to have the frames approved and fire rated so that we don't have to replace frames, and the initial bid project was denied. This high school is going to have a dragon painted. I guess Mr. Kleisler is going to find some students who are artistic, talented, and there's plenty out there. The lintel issue at Lake Riviera Middle School looks like a purchase order is in place, and there's going to be a little decomposition work, and then the holes are going to be opened, inspected, and then closed so that no further damage could be done. We also talked about the Laurelton sites. We have a cost of an appraisal to be done to see what the property is worth, to see what we can do with that property. On the agenda this evening for your consideration is work to be done at Veterans Memorial Elementary School as well as this high school for architectural services and designing how to replace rooftop air conditioning systems. Almost done. The Osborneville Elementary School has paint cracking, and Lake Riviera Middle School and Emma Havens Young School also have cracking going on within the school, and that's going to be reported back to the committee in the future. Thank you. That's the report.
Thank you. Policy?
Sure. On November 28th, Mr. Lamella and I received the policies to review. We reviewed the policies. We did have some questions when we were meeting. We reached out to Mr. Philippone, and he was able to clarify any questions that we had regarding any of the policies. They are on the agenda for tonight to be approved for the first reading. We were satisfied with what we saw. That's it.
Great, thank you. Human Resources?
Everything was standard on the agenda, and we continue to look for qualified candidates for a learning disabled teacher consultant and some other positions that are hard to fill right now. But everything else is per usual.
Okay. Curriculum, instruction?
We had a number of presentations at the curriculum meeting this month about different programs that we have the opportunity to pilot, including an outreach program, a teen outreach program that will be piloted at Vets Middle for students at risk. Also, we saw some demonstrations on science manipulatives and math manipulatives, and the camp invention we talked about, backed by popular demand, but we will offer that at Drum Point this year from June 25th to 29th. And if you don't know anything about camp invention, you should go on the website and read about it, because we had a great time last year, and there's a lot of pictures on the website, and there's a lot of information. It's a program that students and parents elect to pay for hands-on summer science projects. And I'd also like to acknowledge the Donors Choose grant from Drum Point Elementary School provides $165 for books and books clubs in the school. And those little efforts that we have in the school really make our literacy communities give an advantage to our students and some opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have. We also received a STEM educational grant from the Naval Air Warfare Center, and that money, $5,153, is going to help create an outside learning environment for our STEM students, to create a greenhouse and provide heat and sprinklers and do some experiments in that environment. So we thank those organizations for their contributions. Thank you.
Thank you. Acting Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Woolrab. I'd like to begin by congratulating Mr. Bruin, Mr. Paxton, Mr. Morelli for their excellence, hard work, and humility. They exemplify all that is good in our profession, and I thank them on behalf of our entire school community. I'm going to digress for a second because I don't want them to have to stay all night, but we have one of our new hires here, Mr. Joe Snorbush. Joe, if you could stand up. Joe will be teaching music here in Brick, and he is a graduate of our school system. We welcome you with open arms, Joe, and know you'll have a great impact on our students.
Congratulations.
Since our last board meeting, I've had the opportunity to attend many events that answer the question that's often asked about what makes a school district successful. On Veterans Day, I attended a breakfast honoring our local veterans. Students from Vets Middle School created flags, wrote papers, and designed posters, served breakfast to over 100 veterans from our community. I also had an opportunity to attend a meeting to discuss the progress and observe our RISE program at Brick Memorial High School. This program serves a population of students who might otherwise be sent out of district. The staff commitment and dedication to those students and the program itself was remarkable. I attended the kickoff meeting at Vets Elementary of a school-wide character education program designed and run by teachers to meet a growing need at Veterans Elementary. I witnessed the induction of 28 outstanding students into the National Honor Society at Brick, attended the middle school performance of The Wizard of Oz this past Monday. I had a great experience. I met with the student leader group from both high schools. We had a wonderful presentation, and we have a commitment from that group of students to put together a program, or get together and work in a program which will raise students' and parents' awareness about the dangers of drinking and driving and promote a situation where designated drivers might be available to students. Those are the things that I saw, but I know that there were wonderful things going on throughout the district. We do not receive a score or grade for any of those things, but they are just as important, or more important in some ways, than anything else that we do. I am very thankful at this time of year for the people that I work with at Central Administration, Board of Education, our building-based administrators, our teachers, and all of our support staff. They make my life easy, and they make the lives of our students better every day. And finally, with some sadness, I would like to say something about our two departing board members. First, Ms. Cantillo, you have served this community for, I believe, and I wasn't able to get it exactly, but I think almost 13 years. You've served as the board president several times. And that time, on a selfish note, as for most of the years that Ms. Cantillo was the board member, I was the principal at Brick Township High School. And during that time, I was able to see so many improvements to this building, from the science labs to the football stadium to the air conditioning, the heating, all of those things Mrs. Cantillo was part of. And on a personal note, and for all the students that walk these halls, I thank you for that. Also, you were instrumental in the naming of Warren H. Wolf Elementary, which was a very important thing to so many people, to honor a man who has done so much for our community. And that, I'm sure, would not have happened if it were not for your efforts. So, on a personal note, I thank you for all the guidance that you've given me and the help over the years. And I really do want to wish you the very best in all that you do, and say a very personal thanks from our entire school community for your service, Sharon. Thank you. And Mr. Barton, no one would know that Mr. Barton and I, because he looks much younger than I do, but we went to high school together. And I first met Mr. Barton when he served on a committee, a technology committee here at school. And he was instrumental, along with Mr. Reed and some other folks at that time, in getting us to start on the road to a one-on-one initiative, which we're very proud to say we are there now in the school district. And not for his efforts in that committee way back when, before he was a board member, that may not have happened. But he also has been a very, very important member of our facilities committee over the last couple of years. And his attention to detail and his willingness to put in the time and the energy to help our students and to create a better facilities in the district, really, I really was able to see it for the first time being in central administration. The time that he puts in, again, the attention to detail and all of those things. So, John, again, as I said for Sharon, thank you so much for your service. We will miss you, but I know that we'll continue to see you around. So, thank you very much. And one last thing. This morning, we had the delayed opening. and we realized that we had some issues with our Honeywell system. So for those parents that are watching, if you have changed your phone number in the last 6 months or since you went into the system, please go to our website. There's a link there for Honeywell. You can get in and update your information, because we certainly want all of our staff as well as all of our parents to get those messages in a timely fashion. So again, thank you all for the support that you've given me, and I wish everybody the very happiest and healthiest holiday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. McNamara.
Thank you, Mrs. Walrath. Under Curriculum and Instruction, the acting superintendent recommends the board approve the following items 1 through 11.
Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Board discussion? Mary?
Public.
Oh, I'm sorry, public discussion, apologize. Any public discussion? Now, Mary, sorry about that.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes, to all.
Mr. Barton?
Before I say, well, I'm saying yes, but I also quickly, some of what we're voting on include volunteer programs, volunteer clubs, and that again just piggybacks on what Mr. Philippone was saying about what a great job and how you have to thank the people that you're working with for putting out their time, and the club's meeting every single day after school that there's a late bus. That's pretty committed, so yes, absolutely, thank them.
Ms. Pacala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hefner?
Yes.
Okay, any board discussion? Any other public discussion? No. Operations? Acting superintendent?
Miss-
I'm sorry, did you say board discussion regarding curriculum and instruction?
That's who you're in, right?
Ms. Walrath? Okay, I just wanted to take note of number 11, the revision to the school calendar. On there is the day that Emma Havens, they had to go home for the early dismissal due to the electrical fire. The day that the students will be making up is on this new calendar. That's it.
In operations, the acting superintendent recommends that the board approve the following items 1 through 29.
Can I motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Board discussion? Public discussion?
Karen Cusinelli, 113 Duchess Lane. I just had a question with the manual checks in number 5. I noticed there was a little under $175,000 for September and October in there for claims for workers' comp. Did I see that correctly?
Mr. Edwards?
It could be, yes. I don't have the total in front of me, but I assume you're...
I'm sorry, could you bring the microphone closer? I can't hear you.
I didn't add them up, but I assume that you did, so most likely yes.
And is that for new claims, old claims? What does that represent?
It's probably a combination of both.
Is that typical, that amount, or is this kind of an onslaught that we were just hit with?
No, I would say that's typical. I mean, we spend, between prior year claims and current year claims, we're spending probably about $1.5 million a year on workman's comp, so it's pretty typical.
So that's separate from the premium. This is just...
We don't pay any premium. We're self-insured.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public?
Larry Reed, 475 Normandy Drive. First of all, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
Thank you, you too.
On the workers' comp, those checks that were sent out, that Ms. Cusinelli just mentioned, are they reflected on the board secretary's report for the month, or are they different?
No, they would be, yes. They're absolutely reflected.
Okay, because the board secretary's report for the end of this period shows $80,000. So how
You're
could...
looking at the expense line, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I indicated to Mrs. Cusinelli, the checks that she's referring to are not just from the current year, but it's from prior year claims as well. So as we've discussed, there's a liability section on the board secretary's report that represents incurred but not reported claims from prior years. So some of those checks would have been charged against that amount.
Okay, okay. Also, I noticed that this month the encumbrances used up the rest of the budgeted amount, and last month that wasn't the case. Is there something that went on with the encumbrances this month?
Just the purchase order that we try to show as accurate as possible available balance, and based upon the actuary report that we got prior to the start of school year, that's the PO was done for the amount that the actuary estimated would be spent during the year, less than now the payments that are being made off of it. So it's just an estimate.
Okay, so it's an estimate based on the third-party administrator?
Based upon the actuary.
The actuary.
Right.
So that's the report he sent in January, I think?
I think it was March, if I remember correctly.
March?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just an estimate. So the amount you see that's in the encumbrance line, if it wasn't there, it'd be in the available balance line. So it's just moving it from one to the other.
Okay. That answers my questions. Thank you.
Any other comments? No? Mary?
Ms. Cantillo?
Abstain on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 6 through 10, yes. Abstain on 11. 12 and 13, yes. 14 through 17, abstain. 18 and 19, yes, and 20. 21 and 22, abstain. 23 and 24, yes. 25 and 26, no. 27 and 28, yes. 29, abstain.
Mr. Barton?
Number 5 regular checks, there's a number I'm going to abstain on, 18,05,331, and yes to everything else.
Ms. Bacala?
I'd like to say yes to all, but do I have to abstain on my reimbursement?
Yes. Yes, you do.
Yes.
I abstain on my reimbursement. On check, I don't have the number in front of me. And yes to the rest.
For the record, Ms. Bacala, your reimbursement is on purchase order 1805332.
Thank you.
Ms. Woolruff?
Yes to all.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Philippine?
Yes, before we move on to Human Resources, item 27 in operations, I just want to let people know that at this time of year, we have a lot of parents that, for whatever reason, get backed up with the holidays on there, and they have some money on account with our cafeteria system. Pine Belt Enterprises, I guess, when thinking it's Pine Belt, the automotive enterprises, gave a call to us and asked us how much money it would take to cover all of those expenses, and they cut us a check, and as of tomorrow, all of those back cafeteria bills will be paid for those folks around the holidays. So not advertising for Pine Belt because they don't need it, but I thought it would make sense to let everybody know that I think that's a wonderful thing that they did this time of year. So with that, Human Resources, the acting superintendent recommends that the board approve the following items 1 through 28.
Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Any board discussion? Public discussion? Comments? Mary?
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes to all.
Mr. Barton?
Yes, to all.
Ms. Bacala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes to all.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hafner?
Abstain on number 27 and yes to the rest.
Policies, Mr. Philbin.
Yes, the acting superintendent recommends that the board approve the following policies. And just as a note, the policy on homeschooled athletes is,
614.
yeah, where is it, right here, recruitment selection, no? I'm sorry, folks, I should have had that. We're missing on this agenda. Where is it? Oh, here it is, 6145-1, 6145-2. So that policy is on for first reading this evening.
Motion and, public comment, I'm sorry.
I would need a first and a second, sorry.
I didn't think we got it yet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ms. Walrath.
See? Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Any board discussion? Any public discussion or comment? Yes.
Yeah, Benjamin Zuba, 20081 Dunbeck Road. First, I want to thank the board for taking this time to work on this policy to allow homeschoolers to partake once again. Again, I thank you for passing the amendment until this policy is voted in to allow my homeschool and other homeschool children to partake in winter sports. I've gotten over the policy. I really have nothing to say, except I do question, I believe it's provision C. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone. It's rather small.
I can open it.
Wrong one's coming up.
Where is it?
Can you pull it up?
Yep, I can.
I'm having problems with my phone.
Provi-
Basically, in short, that it receives school board approval.
Right.
That is C, correct?
Yep, the board shall approve the non-resident students'
So you have A, you have
participation.
B, you have C, D, E, with their provisions and qualifications, which we've been adhering to, which we adhered to under the previous policy. My question is, and I would all due respect, why does it need further additional, once the board puts it in place and it's voted on and it's approved and these regulations are being followed, the principal looks at the curriculum, the principal gets the grades, the test, etc. Why does the board need to additionally approve each individual student to partake in sports?
Because under the circumstances, again, it's my belief that the board needs to know how many students. I don't want to happen to the board or to the next superintendent, to be honest with you, what happened when I found out that your son was a homeschool student at Brick Memorial.
Okay.
I think it is not some clandestine way to eliminate kids. I think it's just for the knowledge of the board, so they know there are X number of students that are participating in what sport, if it's an extracurricular, like if they're in the play, whatever it might be. So I think it's just for informational purposes. The board, again, I can't speak for the board, but I don't see a situation where if all of those other steps occurred, the principal, the athletic director, and everyone else went through the proper procedures and process, I can't see why the board would ever.
But I think it says, I believe, it says at their discretion, the board's discretion.
It's all at the board's discretion because there is no, all of the NJSA policy says it's at the discretion of the board. Most of the policies that we looked at said it is at the discretion of the board. And I think the protection that's provided to the board there is if there is a student, it could be a homeschool student, could be some that
Charter,
is coming,
I think it mentions
somebody that a student that's coming to us with some significant baggage from another place. Okay. The NJSI takes care of that in their own way by saying if a student is trying to move based on a disciplinary action, they're not eligible. But it doesn't cover us for all those other activities, like the extracurriculars. So I think that's a protection for the board as well, and for the district. It gives us a little discretion as to the type of student that we want to allow to participate.
Again, I just want to say thank you.
Appreciate that.
And I want to say I don't agree with it. And I believe that that needs to be removed. I just want that to be.
It is a first read. And
I just think it gives too much, it gives maybe overreach. It gives too much. If everything's being followed, you put the policy in place if everything's being followed, or there at least needs to be more clarity, because that just, I'm not saying it would happen, it just leaves the possibility for, I think, discrimination, et cetera, different individuals on the board.
It's a first read.
Yeah, that's why I'm just putting.
Yep, and I appreciate your comments, and I'm sure the entire board now can, not only the policy committee, but the entire board can.
I mean, maybe
take a
something in
look
there
at
that says, yeah, okay, the board needs to receive knowledge, but it's almost like as if we have to come every board meeting, every time there's a student, we have to come every time before the board to receive an approval. Is that what would go on?
No, all we would do is present the name to the board, the name of the student. You wouldn't have to appear at the board meeting or do anything like that.
Ms. Bacall, if I could through the chair, Mr. Philippone. The board's presented with the name of a student. Some of the organizations, like down in the middle school and the high school level, when they ask for the students, a list of students, is the student protected? Is their identity protected? Do they give them the name of the student?
No, mostly it's student ID numbers.
So it's just an ID number?
Right.
So the board would be the only person that knows the name of the student?
Right, so the name of the student would never be public. It would just be their
Often the associations will
ID
ask
number.
if there's somebody participating within the association at the middle school level or the high school level, just so that I would assume that they can make sure that everybody's following the rules, because some of these kids are good, and some of the other schools want to go after people who they feel might be trying to bend a rule, which you're not trying to bend a rule. And we I think, as a board, would be in a good position to know the name of the students, just so that we know the conversation that's going on if, in fact, an organization asked, is there a wrestler that you have who doesn't go to your school, but he is wrestling in the high school team?
Right.
That would be my position. I'm not going to be here next month, probably. I mean, I only have this meeting left because I wasn't reelected. But I would say that it's a protection so that the board can understand a conversation in case somebody would make an accusation to the district that this person is participating and they want to know if they meet all the credentials. That's the only thing that I would say is good for it. The
Okay, to sum it up,
intention
so
is that,
basically, you don't want to happen which happened last time. No one on the school board knew my son was homeschooled and partaking.
Neither did
That's to prevent that
the
from-
acting superintendent know either. So, yes, that's something we'd like to avoid in the future.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment? Mary?
Ms. Cantillo?
I'm going to abstain on 1 and 2.
Mr. Barton?
yes.
Ms. Bacalla?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Public comment?
Karen Cusinelli, 113 Duchess Lane. I just wanted to expound upon what Mr. Philippone had talked about before. I first met Sharon Cantillo in 2007 when we were both regular attendees of these Board of Education meetings as parents and taxpayers. And in the 10-plus years since I met Sharon, I have grown to really appreciate her integrity, her intelligence, and her dedication to the students of the district as a whole, and the town. And as a board member, to have served with Sharon, I just can't let people know enough how much time she committed to this district, and I just really appreciate it, and I appreciate, Sharon, all that I was able to learn from you as a board member. I really got a tremendous education from you, and I truly want to thank you for your service to our town, and you really have a heart for our children and an appreciation for our staff and a love for our town, and I really do want to thank you for all you've done.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Walt Campbell, 655 Mark Manor. Again, Sharon, you will be missed. We had a very good time. We got a lot of stuff done, but unfortunately, personally and politically, you suffered immensely towards the end, and your family, and nobody really knows that except a few of us, and it's really sad, but you had a real good run, and a lot of things got done, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to help you. Now, let's get down to business. That proposal that Netta gave you on this auditorium and the air changers, are you familiar with it? Okay, it's inaccurate. It's only half right. Now, I think you should rescind it. I'm going to give you the information so you do it right. Because if you do the entire air handling system, which is in 4 parts of this auditorium, for $33,000 more, you can get it all done instead of half done. And then nothing I hate worse than a half-butt project. But I'm going to give you that, and do not send that out, because they didn't do their homework. That's one thing. The other half-butt project I want you to tell me about is a brick track. What's going on there? My granddaughter comes home and I'm getting really ticked off. What happened there? I hear drainage problems. I hear running lines that are narrow, so now we got to get special hurdles. This is nonsense. What's going on? Anybody care to tell me?
I'll take that one, Mr. Edwards. Well, there was an error made when the track was constructed. The company that did the asphalt.
Okay, I was afraid of that.
Made the inside circumference of the track was a little off, so that the lanes, instead of being 41 inches, are 40. So we are in the process of working through our attorney with that company, and our position is, at this point, that we want what we paid for. So there may have to be a major renovation to the existing track next summer after all the athletic events are done.
Do you remember way back, Mr. Philippone, I cautioned this board the most important part of that whole track was the paving. And I got put down by Mr. Edwards, oh, we got to go for the cheaper one. We could have gone with the one that did the one at Brick Memorial.
Mr. Campbell, excuse me, I didn't put you down. I don't like the way you say that. What I did was just inform you that we have to go with the lowest responsible bidder, is what we did. So I did not put you down. I don't know why you like to throw those little digs in there. It's not necessary.
I'm glad I woke you
We're
up.
not here to be combative with you. You're here to make a public comment. We appreciate your comment. Mr. Philippone gave you the story on the track. You don't need to throw digs at people now. There's no reason for it. I think it's the holiday spirit. Right?
There's no holiday spirit around here. I look at these people and what they did over the last 3 years. I'm not done with that yet either. But the bottom line is, okay, I'm getting cut off then?
No.
I heard the bell.
That was somebody's phone.
Somebody's phone.
Oh, jeez.
You'd only be so lucky.
Well, this is, well.
All right. In addition, on that track, what are we doing with the long jump and the pole vault? Where's that going?
It's already out there paved. It's,
Where the old ones were?
I believe the long jump is where it was, and the pole vault is down below by the baseball
Okay.
field.
But getting back to the paving on that blacktop, it is so crucial that that inclination, because of the drainage, that's why you got a problem. You took the cheap route.
It's, Mr. Campbell, just respectfully, just so you have your facts straight, because I don't want to give you misinformation. It really is not a drainage issue. It's a circumference issue. The track actually is too narrow to get the proper size lanes in. The drainage in the inside curb as constructed is not a problem. It's the circumference of that, well, I guess it wouldn't be circumference.
Yeah, but you see,
diameter of that.
when you increase the circumference and the drainage is on the inside, it's on an inclination, okay? And that does have a lot to do with the drainage, especially if it's an inferior paving job, which I guess it was.
No,
But in the future.
It wasn't even that, it really was.
So let's make sure we got facts
It
straight.
was
That's
just,
not the case.
right, you want to clarify it, but it was just a mistake in
As
this,
Mr.
yeah.
Philpott said, the inside circumference is not the
Who
correct size.
supervised the job? The architect?
The architect and the engineer supervised the job, yes. And they were the ones that picked up that the circumference is not correct.
And do you remember I asked you, Mr. Edwards, that how many times, or how much experience did they have with doing tracks?
You asked us to make sure that the base of the track was correct. There is no issue with the base of the track. And you said that the base of the track needed to be proper in order to get proper drainage. Mr. Philpott has explained to you, there is not a drainage issue there. It's a circumference issue. The
I
track
understand that.
as built is too small. That's why they had to put in narrow lines, and we are going to have it corrected in the summer of 2018.
But how does something like that happen?
The contractor built the circumference of the track too small.
Where were the architects?
They're the ones who picked it up and said it needs to be corrected.
Well, why weren't they supervising it in the initial phases? That's not something you can just let go on its own. But just I want to clear one more point on that, and that's going to be it. On the awarding of the bid, because we had prior service from this individual, couldn't we go on a public contract to have him do that paving, the hire guy? Like you seem to be doing on a lot of bids?
No, I'm not familiar with what you're suggesting, but no, when there's a construction project similar to the Brick High School track, it has to go out to bid. There are statutory rules for the submission of bids and who is defined as the lowest responsible bidder, and under what circumstances you are allowed or authorized to reject a bid and go to a next higher bid. That's the local public contracts law.
The other suggestion I gave to Mr. Barton was to hire a outside concern that would have done all of the whole thing. We would have saved another couple $100,000, maybe $150,000, and it would have got run right. And that was on like the Keystone Purchase Group, or like one of your Middlesex type of things. And they were, and I gave it to them, they had the letters, they were certified in the state. We could have saved more money, just like we did with renovating these gyms. You're going to give up on them until I gave you the key to what you had to do, to eliminate a lot of it. But it's sad, it is really sad, these projects, but they have to go like this. But that's neither here nor there. I'll be back up after they give somebody else. I don't want to continue right now. Thank you.
Mr. Reed.
First of all, I want to thank Sharon Cantillo for all the time she spent. I was lucky enough to serve on the board for 3.5 years with Miss Cantillo, ran on the campaign ticket with her, and nobody knows how much time and energy she put into this district. Incredible amount of time, going to 3 meetings each month. handling all the calls from all the other board members, trying to coordinate everything. It's a big job. Ask John Lamella, the new president. It's not easy. And you have to have a great sense of humor, very positive attitude, and the gift of gab. And that was Ms. Cantillo. The amount of hours and the knowledge I think you went here, right, to this district?
No, I didn't.
No, but your kids went here.
Yes, they did.
So she knew everybody, knew what went on, knew all about the facilities, which I did not, but I learned. And we spent a lot of time and energy fixing this school up, devoted a lot of capital resources. And I know Mr. Philippone made the comment one time that during our term on the board, we spent more money redoing this school and fixing this school up than anybody in any prior administrations.
Absolutely true.
So, you know, I think one of the guiding forces for all that was Ms. Cantillo. And I can't thank her enough for all the time she spent prior to being on the board with me and after. And it's really remarkable all you accomplished for this school district. And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, I know Mr. Philippone's a great guy. I like him. And he likes to come up with positive things to say about people, and he does. But just to set the record straight with facts, he knows I like the facts as well as he does. I specifically remember setting up the technology committee when I got on the Board of Ed, and I had Richard Kite chair that committee.
Absolutely.
And I remember sitting there in the room now, as you made your comments about that committee meeting. You were sitting to my left. Mr. Barton was a volunteer from the community at the time. And I was proposing that we do the laptops for all the high school students. And as we went around the room to comment, to be 100% accurate, the one person I remember being against it was Mr. Barton. So he was not in favor.
My memory is not as good as yours, Mr.
Okay,
Reed.
I can picture it to this day, and I commented to my other board members that he didn't want it because not everybody had the internet at home. But it was more important that they get to use the computers because that's the way of the world as we see now. Everybody comes up with a cell phone, it's like a little computer now. So I just wanted to correct the record on that. And again, thank you, Ms. Cantillo, for all your service.
Thank you, Ms. Any other public comment?
Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Campbell.
Yeah.
Stuff on the heating system.
Okay.
There's enough copies for everybody.
Thanks.
Once you can't be screwing out.
Take a look. Thanks, Mr. Campbell. This, it's all one document? Or different?
Yeah, I mean, for $33,000 more, you might as well get it all done. Because they're all old. And they're the originals. I guess that's it on that.
All right, thank you.
A couple of things I'd like to put to bed here. Everybody on this board over the last 3 years has campaigned for a district-wide operational audit. And when we were after that for a couple of years, finally we got this half-baked explanation. But that didn't mean the overall district. Now, I want to know who recommended you not have a district-wide operational audit. Who recommended? I don't think any board members did.
Tom said we couldn't afford it.
Who recommended there not be an operational audit? Because we've tried for several years to get one.
I wasn't.
Is it a stigma?
We have audits, ongoing audits. We're waiting for our energy audit to be completed and returned to us
Did a
right now.
special ed audit?
Energy audit you're waiting for.
Special ed audit also.
Yeah, that's not an operational audit. That's everything in this district that you spend money on.
Well, that's one.
It's detailed, and it gives the taxpayers a good idea of what's going down the pike. And everybody on this board campaigned for that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Campbell, with all due respect, when the board came into place and we had hoped to do that, there was a severe budgetary constraint in that we had given our faculty unfunded raises, and we had to put our finances into that. There was no room in the budget.
Don't insult my intelligence, please.
Let's keep it simple.
38 years in education. Don't do that to me, please. All right. Is there going to be one? We need one. Otherwise, any more campaigns that go down this road, I don't want to see them out there in the public. Oh, we're going to do an operational audit. And you don't. And there's two other things I don't want to see anymore. We're going to put them to bed now. One is every person that is employed or volunteered in this district by state law has a background check. And this board campaigned
100%, Mr. Campbell.
Yes. And this board group here campaigned, oh, that's not true. We have to have background checks. Every last one of you. And you can't deny it.
What's his point?
Now,
Campbell, just to clarify, every one of our employees has a very thorough background check.
Yes.
Before they get hired. I didn't know where, I'm trying to figure out where you're going with it, but.
Where I'm going with this, I never want to see it in another campaign. Background checks.
I'm just speaking for the district.
Okay.
We conduct very thorough background checks.
You can laugh about it.
Not laughing.
No, not you. I'm just watching some of these other members. Never again, because it was a real slime job. And the worst thing is when you go after somebody, all of you went after saying a man was guilty. Aren't you innocent until proven guilty? Our former superintendent? You have no idea where this district was going. We were already up 60 points in New Jersey Monthly when he was in here. And then we go to politics. I want it off my chest. I'm tired of this slime. And I haven't made up my mind whether I'm going to sue some of you for slime and slander and everything else. I've been waiting for Doc to get his thing going. Then I'll follow up on him.
Any other public comment? Board comment? Victoria, we'll start with you.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. I had the privilege to sit on several committees these last 2 years, and I really want to comment on the fact that with the district goal of offering the best quality educational experiences within a very tight budget and with many constraints on us, I want to commend Mr. Barton and Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Barton for the foresight to coordinate this move ahead with the design, construction, and bidding phase of the BTHS auditorium and vets. We are in a position similar to what we were in last year, where the time for the HVAC units is long, and there's the lead time is long. And it's good that we can begin to work on the design phase, and then once our budget is adopted in April, we can go to look towards what it is that we can afford to do and quickly and efficiently replace some of those units. In that spirit of preparation and minding what is best for our students, I just want to say happy holidays to my board members, central administration, and to the public. And I hope everybody's safe during the holidays and enjoys themselves. Thank you.
Melita?
Yes. I have a prepared statement that I would like to read regarding the superintendent search. Mr. Lamella, who's unavailable this evening because of a family commitment, and I will be excusing ourselves with regard to the superintendent search due to conflicts that have arisen based upon applicants that have responded to the job posting. Mr. Lamella has contacted school boards and discussed the matter with them as well as with our attorney. As a result, we will not be involved with regard to the superintendent search so long as a conflict of interest exists. Next, I just want to talk about some of the BRIC happenings that have been taking place over the month of November and December that I was able to be a part of. In November, I was able to participate in American Education Week. That's a week where parents are able to come into the schools, take a look at the classes, and see some of the great activities that our students are doing. I was able to see a great math lesson in 3rd grade. Music has completely changed since I've been in school, and it hasn't been that long. You know, the kids are getting up. This was a 1st grade music lesson. The kids are getting up, moving, and having a lot of fun in their special classes. I also was able to attend parent-teacher conferences, and that's a great opportunity for parents to go in, meet the teachers, take a look at our buildings, and actually see what wonderful things our students are doing, our children are doing in the classroom. In the month of December, I attended the tree lighting ceremony at the municipal building, and what I want to highlight there was we had representatives from both high schools that sang holiday songs. They came together, and I want to highlight that. Also, Mr. Filippone, he mentioned attending the performance at Lake Riviera Middle School, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I was able to attend that with my children, and I can say it was absolutely spectacular. My daughter was unable to sit down. She was excited. They put on a great show there, so I want to commend the advisor that does that, as well as the entire school for their efforts with that. Next, I just would like to acknowledge and thank John Barton for his service and dedication to the school board. I know that I was new last time around, and he reached out to me. He was a helping hand. If I had any questions or concerns, he was there, and I thank him for that. I hope what he gave me as a new board member, I will be able to give to our 2 new board members that will be coming on, Maria Foster and Jessica Clayton. Mr. Barton, for me, he just was here as a team, and I thank him for that. I want to thank Sharon. I know she has done a lot over the years. I want to thank her for her commitment and everything that she has done for the school board and the BRIC schools as well. We are wrapping up a year, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to be here. I know that we don't always see eye to eye on everything, but I just hope that we keep our students first, we keep this community first, and we try to come together and work together as one. I'm grateful for all of the positive changes that I have seen within this school district. Being on the board, I get an insight to things that are happening. I get to see things that are taking place, and I'm grateful for the positive direction that the school is going in, and I know that would not happen without our supportive and knowledgeable upper administration as well as the supportive board. So I just want to thank you all for your support and dedication. That's it.
Daisy?
Okay, good evening. I would like to welcome all of our new hires and say best wishes and thank you to our retirees. I would also like to congratulate Ms. Clayton and Ms. Foster on their Board of Education victory. I look forward to working with the both of you. And I would also really like to thank John Barton and Sharon Cantillo for all that they have done for our schools, the students and the staff over the years. Until you actually sit up here, I don't think you can imagine how much goes into this volunteer job every single day, so thank you both so much. This past month flew by, but I was fortunate to be able to attend several events just like Melita had. I went to my daughter's classroom for American Education Week, where the students were working on a writing assignment about who they would invite to Thanksgiving dinner. They could invite 3 people, and then they had to explain why they would invite those 3 people. I was a little insulted my daughter did not choose to invite me to our own Thanksgiving dinner, but I guess if you're allowed to pick a superstar, you would pick them anyway, but that's okay. It was a really great assignment. I was able to attend 2 teacher conferences in person. I am very grateful that I met with my children's teachers. Even if you think you know everything about your child, I can't stress how important it is to go and meet in person, or if your schedule doesn't allow it, to arrange a phone conference with the teachers. I always learn something new about my own children, and this opens up the line of communication with the teachers and your children. I attended a fun fundraiser with my daughter. We had breakfast with Maui and Moana at Midstreams. They donated the proceeds to their Early Act Club, and their Early Act Club is collecting food and donations for the local food bank called Fulfill for Ocean and Monmouth counties. I know that the entire Midstreams community has been collecting food for several months, and they've been making huge donations, so thank them for giving back to our community. And the snow didn't stop our fun this past Sunday for the annual Jingle Bell Walk at Midstreams. It was a very festive event, and we had both middle school and high school students volunteering, and that gets more of our community involved, and we love that too. So just like everybody else, I hope everyone has a very happy and healthy holiday season, and thank you for attending tonight, and we will see you next month.
John?
I'm going to call Mr. Philippone out on the carpet, too. He said that he'd met me a few years ago at committee meetings when actually Mr. Philippone met me when I was about 9.5 years old, wandering around in the back of Midstream School, elementary school, by myself in the middle of the summer, a hot day, probably dirty, been rolling around in the sand and whatnot. And Mr. Philippone was an employee of the district through the summer program. He was in charge of some recreation at the back of Midstream School, which I had nothing to do with. But when he saw me outside behind the school, he wanted to know what I was doing there. And I guess he had some safety conscience in his mind back then, too. And he had invited me into the school. He said, I can't have you here all the time because you're not a paid member, but come on in and see what we do for a couple of minutes and make yourself at home. That is the kind of message that I'm going to carry with me to my grave. I don't understand why people have to justify themselves. I mean, and I'm not going to do it. People want to put words in my mouth and say what I said, go right ahead. You're welcome to do that. I have to thank everybody for allowing me to serve. It's an honor to serve in this position, and you have to be here to understand just how congenial these administrators in the building are. Mr. Edwards, thank you so much for guiding me through the time that I served. Ms. McNamara, your hours of work and the help that you have given us and the direction that I see that you're taking the district gives me a sense of security. So I'm leaving here because I was not reelected as a proud board member and a happy board member as well. So I congratulate Mrs. Foster and Mrs. Jessica Clayton, congratulate you on what you're about to do. You're going to enjoy it. It's almost a legacy for what you do, and I have always thought that it's never going to end here. This institution is ongoing, whether I'm here or not, the doors will be open tomorrow and school will go on. And that's just the way I came to serve the community every day. So while I was here, I was privileged to be here, but I know that life goes on, and I've already spent hours doing other services. So with that, I thank everybody on my board here for all your kind words. Trust me, I'm fine. A little shocked, but those things happen, and you just can't explain everything that happens and why it happens. And I'm thick-skinned. I'll take, sometimes I don't say the right things. I understand that, but you can't please everybody in the public eye. So I just wish the best for the board in the future, and again, thank everybody for working together as a team.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Sharon?
I have so much that I want to say, and I don't want to leave anyone out. It's been an absolute privilege and an honor to serve in this town. Brick is a wonderful, wonderful place. You wouldn't know that I'm not from Brick. I didn't graduate from Brick High School, but I feel like I did because I moved down here in the late 70s, and I feel like I've lived half of my life where I came from and the other half here, and it's kind of like a blur because I don't remember ever living anywhere as long as I have in Brick. Everybody that I look fondly on, for the most part, is from Brick. And I was welcomed here very, very early on when my children started school here. And I'll never forget, my son, who's my oldest child, had Patty Schaefer for a kindergarten teacher at Emma Havens. And every mother, at least I, had a vision of what my child's kindergarten teacher would be like. And I have to tell you that when I went there and I met Patty Schaefer, she fulfilled everything that I ever thought. She was just wonderful. And I requested her for my daughter as well, 2 years later. And my children went through this school district. They got a wonderful education. They met most of their lifelong friends in this school district, as well as I. Teachers and administrators that my children had, I consider friends, like you, Mr. Filippone. Some of the things that we did together when you were principal here, I will never forget. I met the most wonderful man, Warren Wolf, probably one of the most important people I've ever met in this town. He taught me lessons that probably only a parent teaches their child, and he's taught them to many, many children, students of this district. I remember getting a letter home from him that said, if you ever have a question, please feel free to call me, and he put his home phone number, which is still the same now, W. And I'll never forget, I called that number, and it was one of the most welcoming voices on the other end of that phone. And from that point on, which was probably in the early 90s, I consider him family. Everyone that has been lucky enough and fortunate enough to have Warren in their life, I believe would understand what I'm saying. That's why when it came time to rename the PLC, the Warren Wolf Elementary School, everyone, not just me, I mean, it was a suggestion of mine, but everyone on the board, Mr. Filippone, I know you had tears in your eyes when that was announced, and it was very well deserved for him. But getting back to everyone that I've met here, from teachers, administrators, coaches, just wonderful people, and a part of my life that I will never forget. And through the people, the voters in Brick, they gave me the ability to get to know these people. And that's my legacy, having served here. I thank you. I wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday, and I thank everyone that has contributed to the years that I was here on the board. You've made them wonderful. And I do wish the new incoming board members good luck. I know that you will consider the most precious, precious commodity is our students, and they only get one chance to go around, and those decisions that you make are very, very important, and I wish you all the best with them. And thank everyone for the very kind words that you said. I appreciate all of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think that was a wonderful way to end this evening. Thank you, John and Sharon. We have some dates. December 22nd begins winter recess, early dismissal. December 25th through January 1st is winter recess. School will be closed. And January 4th, we have our reorganization meeting at 7 p.m. Can I get a motion for?
Motion to
Second?
Second.
Mary?
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Bacala?
Yes.
Ms. Walrath?
Yes.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Ms. Hatch?
Yes.
Thank you.